Hi ladies and gentlemen, today we have another car review and we are in the 2001 Toyota Solara, or Camry Solara. And this car has a 2.2 liter engine that pumps out 135 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque. So it's not the V6. I think it looks a lot nicer than it actually drives. The interior is actually pretty nice. It has an 8-speaker JBL audio system and 8-way power adjusting seats. So the interior actually looks very, very cohesive, and it looks very nice actually. And the funny part about this is actually looking at the gauges here, this looks exactly like the Toyota Sienna van with the gauge cluster here. And what's funny is that the first car that I ever drove was a 1998 Toyota Sienna. So it's actually funny that the gauge clusters actually reminded me of that. So I talked about the JBL 8-speaker audio system, which is actually fairly nice. You only get a CD player and a tape player, which for 2001 makes sense. You know, having an audio jack probably wasn't very common in 2001 models, so we can forgive it for that. I actually do like the way the car looks compared to the newer version that they came out, the second generation. And honestly, looking around at this car, the interior is held up very well for being 16 years old. You have some cloth seats here with no bolstering at all. So this car actually gets 23 miles to the gallon in the city and 32 miles to the gallon on the highway. Now, and the reason why that actually, I believe that's a low figure, is because this has a 4-speed automatic transmission, and if it had 6 speeds, it definitely would be a lot better gas mileage because you have the overdrive functionalities. It's not the fastest changing and sporty transmission you would ever think of. Yeah, that's my foot to the ground. It is not moving at all. I think this is more catered to people who are sort of older or, you know, enjoy more comfort than they enjoy sporty, and something that looks a little stylish as well. Now, talking about the handling characteristics, this car doesn't handle too bad. It's more of a, like I said, it's more of a cruiser. It has some 15-inch wheels that make the ride very, very comfortable. It gets a little squirrely when you get to higher speeds. The cornering ability is not really that great. The steering feel, it's alright. It's not too bad. This car does not have a lot of horsepower. Even for the time, you know, 2001, it did not have a lot of horsepower. So, talking to that strictly, this car is a dog. It's very, very slow. But this car has 77,000 miles on it, so not a lot of miles either. And, you know, it's not fast. So 145 pound-feet of torque, that's not a lot of torque. And I think that's right around 4,400 RPM, so it's not a lot of torque. But talking about the car responsiveness and how it drives, you know, it actually doesn't handle too poorly. It has a lot of body roll, but that's sort of expected in this car. I wasn't thinking this car wasn't gonna have a lot of body roll. I definitely think it was going to. But being a coupe, it actually has a lot of room in it. Sitting behind myself, I actually have about an inch or two of legroom. The headroom is not so great, but you know, being a coupe, you know, it has a sloping roof, so you're gonna get that compromise in a coupe. Talking about the interior materials, it actually doesn't feel that bad. It actually reminds me of my father's 1993 Lexus LS 400. The interior is actually really nice, and there are actually no squeaks and rattles in here, so it's something to be very appreciative in a car that, you know, retailed for around $23,000 when you first buy them. And you know, being 16 years later, they're actually holding up very, very well. Other things that I like about this car, the actual trunk space is actually pretty good. One of the things that I think is a con is actually when you fold down the seats, the opening to go into the interior of the car is actually quite small. So the opening of the trunk is quite large, but the 60-40 split of the actual seats is a smaller, is an actual smaller opening. So that's something that I definitely don't like. Another thing that I actually like about this car is actually the visibility. The visibility here is actually really good. It actually doesn't feel like you're in a coupe at all. Looking back, you know, you have no issues reversing or checking your blind spots either. So let's talk about recommendations. Would I recommend this car? Now, if you're looking for a car that looks nice and actually is reliable and is a car that you're just trying to get from point A to point B, then I would definitely recommend this car. If you're looking at sportiness or fast responsive transmission, anything in those aspects of quick, this is not your car. This is definitely not a quick car by any means, and I'm talking about in any of those terms. This is a front wheel drive car. It's built for reliability and it's built to be comfortable. But yeah, turning into the corners, this car does feel heavy and the steering shows it. The responsiveness on center is not bad at all, but just turning in the corners, you feel a lot of the body roll. But you can feel what your tires are doing. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Just by changing the seats with the eight-way powered seats.